Gotta get more followers.
Everyone, welcome to Monday, July 25th. Currently 10:30. I am done with the trading day, guys. I cannot tell a lie. It did not go well today. So I'm going to show you the 4 trades in a second. But before we get to all that stuff, I want to cover the quick few things. One, trade day. So I'll be trading my trade day account. This is day number 4. I will mention, so the promo we were running with 30% off ended on Friday, but the good news is if you are actually interested in Trade Day, they're running their own 20% off promo, and they were nice enough just to make my code the 20% off. So CFT promo still works. It's just for 20% off instead of 30% off, and there's no set day on when that will stop. So if you're interested in Trade Day, be sure to use the promo code and save yourself 20%. Quick recap of where we were at the end of day 3. Day 1 was a down day. Days 2 and 3 were up. Day 3, which was Friday, was just a small win, and we called it quits. And we were up $900 and something at that point. So I already mentioned day number 4 today did not go well. I did record all the trades, and rather than just let them play as I was doing the trade, I kind of wanted to go back and play them, but add in some armchair quarterback. There's basically I did 1 winning trade to start, and then I did 3 bad trades, and each trade was bad for a different reason, and that's why I kind of want to go. I'll play them, but I'll be able to pause them and kind of say why I should have not been in the trade or should have gotten out of the trade, etc. So the good news is we're still fully alive. We haven't blown our account. We are effectively back to the starting point, and let me show you. This is my, dashboard. So we lost $950 today, guys. So we're already out of the gate breaking my own rule. I said no day would I lose more than 5 ticks, which is roughly $650 or something. So we already broke our own rule doing just that. And I know it says 6 trades, but kind of like I showed before, like it broke one of the trades, the last one, I actually scaled in, so it treats us as individual trades. There's really only 4 trades. First one is a winner. You can kind of see that here. And again, we're going to go through the actual trades if you want to stick around and see what it looks like when the CFT takes a few losses. So first one was the winner, 360. That probably set us up, unfortunately, for a little more confidence than we should have had. Next trade, we end up losing. So not only we lose that profit, we lose additional profit. So at that point, we were down 530. Honestly, might have been a good place to stop. Third trade, this brought us down to minus 8 as you go along here, about 850. And then the final trade, we lost that final 100 and we were down 950 at the end of the day. So let's go through those 4 trades. We'll start with the winner, but we'll go through them all just to point out and show where they're at. So before we get to the trades, though, just saying, one way I like to think of this, so losing day, right? Like it was not fun. It was not fun to eat 3 losers and, shut things down and eat more of a loss than I said I would and make bad entries and all those things. But we have to take a step back and go, okay, we are where we are. I can't change what I did this morning. We're still very much alive. Our balance is right here, $99,992. We're down $8 from the very starting point. So if you want to put a positive spin on it, we've already counted 4 days and we're effectively starting fresh right now, right? So looking forward to tomorrow. If anything, too, I would say the bad trades today were a nice reminder for me, and hopefully this helps some of you, that no one's a superhero when it comes to trading. All it took was 3 bad trades to just wipe out all of my profit that I'd built up over 3 days. So trading is very fickle. It doesn't take much to come back and bite you. So I think that's a good thing. And if anything, it's a good curb check, good reminder for me. So going into tomorrow, I'm going to be a lot more focused and a lot more looking for premium setups, and that's part of the problem today. I was just running around chasing trades, and we're going to get to all that. So a few lessons learned for myself, definitely, and wanted to share them. And I'll also mention, if you're watching this on Monday, I put out a video earlier today as my interview with Mighty Ox Trading. Recommend you check that out. I've interviewed Ox before, so in this interview we do still cover a lot about him, but we focus more on things like his streaming on YouTube and ShareVision. We talk about the various trader evaluation programs and his thoughts on the market and where it is and where it's going and different rules. So we get into quite a bit of that stuff, and I think it's a pretty interesting discussion that we had. So hopefully you check that out as well. And then last thing, guys, I've mentioned a few times, or to a few different people, I do have another interview. It's already recorded. I'm editing it this week with the great John Grady. So if you're not familiar, John Grady, he is who I learned pretty much everything I know when it comes to treasury scalping and using Jigsaw. He's been a long time, trader, and the content on his YouTube channel is fairly old. We talk about that in the interview, and I have a great discussion with John. It's about a 45-minute interview as well, and that'll be up on Thursday. So Thursday, probably at 11 a.m., I will have that video up, that interview, and I hope you really enjoy that one. I had a great time talking to John, and even if you're not a treasury trader, you're not an order flow, depth of market trader, John, has a ton of useful information. I mean, he's been trading for decades. Even just in talking to him, I was sitting there smiling because he was just saying stuff that was relevant to me, and hearing it and going, yeah, this is stuff that even I can use, or maybe I needed to be reminded of. So there's just so much knowledge that comes from him. So I was really excited to be able to interview him. I'm even more excited to be able to share it with all of you. So look for that one. Lots of information, lots of knowledge coming between the two interviews this week. And with that, guys, let's get to these 4 trades. Okay, guys, so this will be the very first trade that I took. This one is a winner, so the first one's a winner. Just to set the stage, and I have the video paused here. You see all 3 treasuries are kind of at their low, and they had been pushing low for a while. So there wasn't quite. So the market opened half hour before this trade. The treasury market opens at 8:20 a.m. The really wasn't a big trading range. I mean, if anything, most of the volume was in this 7-tick range right here. So it was starting to push low. You were starting to see the buyers pull away, sellers pile on. It's kind of the same story every time, isn't it? But so this trade is the winner. I'll just show it to you really quickly, because I think really what I want to get to is the losing 3 trades, just to show you there. So I end up going short here in a second. I'm explaining at this point what I'm looking at. And so I go short here right at the low. I had an automatic 2-tick winner that was from Friday, if you remember. So I got rid of that because it really wasn't, I was looking for a bigger move on this one. So I set a take profit down a few ticks below kind of where it's been trading, just in case you get that pop, like we captured that pop. So that's what I'm doing there. Everything is still trading at its lows. I like what I'm seeing there. So here in a second, I set a stop loss, just an emergency stop. Really, best practices should be doing that all the time. Somewhere here in a few minutes or a few seconds, I set that. So we set that. So and it's 5 ticks away, kind of by design, because I said my biggest losing day, in theory, wouldn't be more than 5 ticks. I was just demonstrating here how you move the stop and the take profit. That's why I was moving it all around. And I think I do the same thing with the stop here. So I'm just showing how it can be easily kind of clicked and moved around. So I'm going to zip ahead here but this trade is immediately kind of moving in our favor. So this was a nice setup, right? Everything was at its lows, looked like it was going to continue to push. We're not getting a flurry of activity, but it's immediately in our favor. Really never backticked against us, maybe 1 tick, but not even really. So immediately like what I'm seeing here. And I'm just kind of managing the stop. So at this point, and I'm going to pause it, I actually do goof up this trade, but it works out fine. So at this point, I've moved my stop loss to break even. Just like, it's, I mentioned how, I interviewed John Grady. One of the things he mentions in the interview, and it's something I've heard him say before, but I kind of forgot about it, is, the free look. Trades immediately in your favor. Like, we are free riding on this. If I have my stop set at break even, at worst it comes, it hits it, and we're out of this trade and we don't get anything out of it. But we got a free look at a potential run. Now, what I do, and I goof this up, is I was trying to it moves down another tick or two. I was trying to move my stop down, and instead, just the way I clicked, and because I have this L2P button enabled, I actually move my take profit up here, and because I move it above the current trade price, it gets me out of the trade. Now, it worked out, because quite honestly, what happens after is it goes down, I think, right to this price level, and it turns around and goes right back up. So whether I'd move my stop down to, this price or to my take profit, it didn't matter. Like, we probably would have got the same amount. So we end up with 3 ticks on this one. But I just wanted to explain that because what you'll see is my take profit move there, and immediately just gets me out at the current price. So that was the one winning trade, and then from here it does turn an about face and goes back on up. So let me skip ahead to the losing trades now. Okay, guys, so this will be the second trade, which is the first losing trade. This one's the biggest loser and just poorly managed. So remember, at this point, we had made 3 ticks. So the price had retraced, and now it's pushed back down. It's even slightly lower than it was. It's really just a few minutes later. It's not like it's an hour later or anything. So I'm sitting here, I'm seeing all these treasuries back at their lows, looking for another run down. So I go short. So let me let this play. And there we go. So we're short the 4 contracts. Starts to tick. We're like, great. Now this trade actually plays out for quite a bit. So I'm going to zip ahead once I kind of get things in place here. But so first things first, it's not popping low, but we're not any worse off. Now we're starting to see a bit of pushback. Starting to see some buyers pile on here. First indication that maybe this isn't the greatest trade. So I put a take profit in place just in case we do get a little flurry, a little pop. Starts to move us against us. Honestly, this would have been, of course, this is armchair quarterback, would have been a good time to just get out. We're already up 3 ticks. Eat the 1 tick loss. Now it'd be a 2 tick loss. Just eat it and kind of still be up, a tick or 2. But I didn't. Really looking at this, again, in retrospect, should have, buyers are starting to pile on here. Sellers are now still pulling away. All indications this is going back up. And you see this just marching right against me, right? So at this point, I am using the rationale that, well, my first trade was a winner. I'm up 3 ticks. So really, even if I get out here, I'm just break even at this point. So we can afford to see what happens here. And that's the wrong approach. Really should be managing each trade uniquely as its own individual trade. So I should have been out of this trade, at each of these price levels. But if not here, because what happens, and this is maybe where I zip ahead, it just hangs out in this range for several minutes. So I had every opportunity to get out of this trade, and I had every indication over here that I should have. But I didn't. I hold on to it a little bit longer. So I'm going to zip ahead. Okay, guys, I'm going to pause it here. So at this point, I've got a stop set, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ticks away from my entry. Now, remember, I made 3, so I'm going to be net down 4 ticks if this hits, and it does hit. No reason. Looking at this trade, forget the first trade, and it doesn't even matter if I'd done that trade or not. I should not be sitting in a 7-tick loser. So, what can I say? It was just a horrible trade. Really, no business being in this trade. Don't really have any reason behind it other than I was just being stubborn and holding out and just fingers crossed that it would come back. And that's no way for a long-term run. So this trade is, I believe, the biggest loser. It is the biggest loser out of the 3 losers. But it really kind of sets the stage for the next losing trade then, which we eat another loss on. So at this point, I should have been like, you know what, I'm not on my game. So when this gets out, I'll just let it play. You'll see it hit. When this hits, I should have done one of a few things. Now, see, it kept tempting me. It kept like going back. You're like, okay, maybe, we get a bit lucky and it goes back in our favor, and it just doesn't, like we really should have been out of this trade. So anyways, all things considered, 1, shouldn't have been in this position. 2, once I'm in this position and it eventually does hit my stop, like here, I could have even saved myself 3 ticks of loss, but I didn't. Once it does happen though and we get out, really should have taken a break at that point. Just walk away. Just, you know what, that wasn't a great trade. Definitely not in my game. Maybe time for a little break. Maybe we revisit this. And at that point, so, we lose 7, we were up 3, we're down 4. Good point to just say, you know what, let's just call it quits for the day. I've kind of set these parameters. It's kind of like, all or nothing in some ways. Let's just call it quits. And I don't. So I thought that this one got out there. That's why I kind of let it play. But apparently it's got a few more seconds in it before it hits. And there you go. So we get nailed there. And and we're out. So we eat a nice loss on that one. So lesson learned on that: don't be stubborn. Stick should have been out. 2-3 tick loser should have been out, and wasn't. So that was just a poorly managed trade. And let's go to my next poorly managed trade. So next trade is very shortly after. Basically, I'm going to say like a little bit on tilt, a little bit off put that, I ate that loss. It surged up. It's kind of like, okay, you know what? It looks like we're going the other direction. We're going long. I was just wrong that we should be short. We're going long. So I go long at this point, and you'll see I go long at the very peak of when it then turns around and goes back down. So this was just bad trading on my part, but it was bad trading action. This is not a market that I should have even been touching. It was just chopping around. Like even when it was breaking the lows, it wasn't really doing it in a convincing fashion. It wasn't like a ton of pressure. It wasn't big runs. Really should not have even been touching this market. So another lesson there, like wait for the good setups. And I wasn't. I was really at this point in some ways chasing the market around, and that typically never works out. So let's let this play. So I go long here. So I'm long. So I only went long 2 contracts on this one. I did size down, and immediately it ticks against us. So here, same thing. Should have just been out. Should have been out. Like, you know what? I'm wrong. Let's just get out. Let's just stop right now. And I didn't. So I forget how long this one is. I don't believe it's very long. So I set a stop loss down here. So again, I'm trading 2 contracts instead of 4. So that was also part of my justification. It's like, okay, let's size down and see if we can chip away and make some of this back, and get ourselves back in a good position. And I don't. Instead, I end up eating what's effectively, 2.5 ticks if you were trading, 4 lots. So we turned a losing day into a little bit bigger losing day. I think it just spikes down here against me. And regardless of the lot size, again, I'm breaking my own rules right from the start, right? Trade normally 2-3 tick loser, get out. You were wrong. Didn't do that. Set a 5 tick loss. Like I was wrong. I was wrong here, and now I'm even further wrong. And this will hit, and we eat another decent sized loser there. So yeah, you've seen it. I mean, obviously, not going too well. So this would have been a fantastic time to just stop trading. I was down 800 and whatever dollars, say 850. Probably the right time to just stop. But I don't. I go for one more trade. I scale into it, and I'm going to let that trade play. I'll just explain it as it's happening. Okay, so again, just a few minutes later, and I think that's important because it's obvious that I'm just chasing. Now I'm just looking for any setup just to get in and try to make some money. And sadly, this one actually goes in my favor. I could have actually got a little bit out of this trade, but because of how I decided to play it, I end up just costing myself an additional 100. So I'm going short. So after that little foray run up, we ate it both directions. Now it's down. I'm like, okay, here we go. We're going short. So I only go short 1 contract. So $30 a tick. And I set a stop loss, 4 ticks. I'm very aware of how much I'm down. You can only lose $1,000 a day, or you'll break a rule and be done. So I'm dancing very close to that number. And what my game plan was here is if it breaks, and you'll see here in a second, I think I set a limit order to go short an additional contract. If this breaks, I'm like, okay, I will scale into it. I will add more on as long as we're always in a profitable position. Because then if it is one of those magical times when we get a run, I'll have sized up at that point, and maybe we get something nice out of this. Now, at this point, I'm short the 1. We're still kind of hanging around break even. Seeing big contracts trade over here. So I'm like, okay, maybe, we shook off those few losers. Maybe this is where we can, make a bit back. There's a nice little break. We're seeing this push down. Now, again, this isn't an overly fast-moving market. Now, what I did there was set a short order. So, this is a sell order. You can tell because it's in red. Basically, I'm looking to scale on and add an additional short. So the theory being is if it can break this low, let's add on 1 more and ride this down. Sure, it'll move our break even down, but... so at this point, I'm going to pause this for real quick. So that's what I was thinking in the moment. I was like, you know what? it comes down here. I'm like, let me just add this on right now. Let's just get 2 contracts on, and like if it does break, then we're already short 2 up here. So, mistake number X of many mistakes on this day. So I got rid of that order, and I ended up going short for a second contract, I think right here. So you can see, and there we are. We're short 2 contracts now. So I changed my stop to 2, but I also have to move it closer because remember, I can't lose too much more today. So, this is already not great, but we're short 2. It's in our favor currently. If we can get a break, I'm like, okay, maybe we pick up some stuff. Where I additionally kind of add fuel to this bonfire in a negative way is I decide to, I believe, if I'm correct, I go short a 3rd contract. I'm like, okay, it's starting to move in our favor. Let's add on a 3rd one. So that's what I did right there, and now I changed my stop to 3. But again, and I'm going to pause this, I have to move my stop even closer because remember, I can only lose so much, and I don't want to bust the account. Was really obviously at this point just hoping for a little flurry down. Maybe we can pick up, 300, 400, 500, whatever dollars, and get us back in the saddle. But unfortunately what happens, and you'll see when I let this play, it doesn't. Because I'm adding on contracts, I'm having to trail even closer. It just comes against us, hits this, and we end up, out of all that, we end up eating a 1-tick loser, where if we had just stuck to the 1 contract, we would have been up. I honestly forget what my original entry was. Let me go back here. Is that where we got filled? We got filled at 21. And so I'm just skipping ahead here. So we were short at 21. If we had just left that original contract, we'd be up $30, $60, $90 here. Now we're up $90 at this point just because of how I've averaged in and stuff. But we would have also only had 1 contract to deal with. So if it had popped against us, we could have still got out for a $30 win or a $60 win instead of eating a $90 loss, if that makes sense. So anyways, you'll see here, we're short to 3. We're really fingers crossed. And and there you go. It did look like it was, going to continue to push low, and it just doesn't. It just comes against us, and that's it. So tough day out there in the future streets, but a self-imposed tough day. I made it tough on myself by making some bad choices. Now, all those trades happened in, like a 30-minute period. So to recap yet again, obviously I'm well aware these were not great trades. 1 was chasing the market around, which wasn't smart. 2 was chasing my losses and trying to recoup it. 3, didn't manage the trades properly. I was managing the trades based on the previous trades. So whether that was trying to make money back or thinking of that original profit as like a buffer that I could lean into, if anything, that first losing trade they were all bad trades, these 3, but the first one was almost the worst because it set the tone, and I ate like the most ticks on that one particular trade. And I shouldn't have been. I should have been out of that thing, and we would have been, break even for the day and could have reassessed. So lots of things could have done a lot better there, guys. But we are where we are. And like I said at the first part of the video, the good news is we're still alive. We're basically at the starting point, just $80 less, which is effectively nothing. And we got 11 days ahead of us till the 15 days. And of course, we don't have to pass in that many days. So, all things considered, how poorly I would say those 3 trades were, we're actually in a better position than maybe we could have been. So that sums up today, guys. And I'm going to leave it at that. Tomorrow, going to be looking to be a lot more selective on the trades, a lot more cautious, and go from there. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in tomorrow's video.